All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted One-on-One, and special guest today, especially from a guy that grew up in Cleveland, a diehard Cleveland Indians fan. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
My name is Vinnie Pestano. I'm a retired Major League Baseball pitcher turned realtor, currently in Columbus, Ohio. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, this is exciting. You've been a good friend here the last couple of years. I don't know, 2-3 years, I guess it is, in Columbus, and especially I've mentioned on multiple podcasts, but especially to my son who's a pitcher. And I'll probably mention this again before we close out. But one of the things that I'll always appreciate and cherish is that you took time to send him some texts when he was in high school and hit that patch that every pitcher goes through, and the mental side. And there's a lot of guys that can help him with his arm, but you helped him with that mental space, and I very much appreciated that. So it's really an honor to have you on, and especially as an Indians fan. And
Oh yeah, of course.
I forgot we're on a podcast, so they can't see that, but I just showed him my Raiders sweatshirt because Vinny and I have a common love for our Las Vegas. Is that where we are now?
Las Vegas. I've got some Vegas gear on the way.
Oh, nice. Our Vegas Raiders. So yeah. But so man, why don't you just start off telling us a little bit about college, minors, majors? Take us through, if you could, just take us through your journey to the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to say the least, starting out with college. I felt like I was a good high school pitcher. I went to a good college baseball school in Cal State Fullerton, and we had our fall practice, and we were no off speed as far as curveball, slider, stuff like that. It was fastball, change only. So I guess there was off speed, but change was fastball only. I didn't have a very good changeup, but I thought I had a good fastball. And after all of our fall work was done, I ranked 14th out of 16 possible pitchers in our program, and 16 and 15 ended up getting cut. So it's kind of a reality check for me at that point, going from high school where, I had a good high school career, and then going into college and just absolutely getting turned around. So I had to make some adjustments. Going into the winter, I was doing some bullpens in the winter. My pitching coach just kind of mentioned, hey, why don't you try, dropping down sidearm on one. And I did. And, I didn't really lose much velocity wise, but I gained a lot more movement, which I had been missing. And I found out the difference between a faster flat fastball and one slightly slower that moves a little bit was definitely more productive, and ended up having a really good spring once those practices started, and ended up making the 25-man travel roster, and was one of our most utilized people out of the pen, in a pen that, we had 3 freshmen in our bullpen that year. And I wasn't anywhere near the pitcher I would end up being, my sophomore and my junior year at that point, because, I'm trying to learn how to throw a slider from sidearm, in a couple months and stuff like that. But I was part of possibly the worst, best baseball team, maybe in collegiate history, because our team, the Cal State Fullerton Titans, we started the year off 15 and 16, and we were on record to be quite possibly the worst team in our school's history. I think we ended up rattling off like 33 of our next 36 or on those lines, and ended up winning a national championship. Pretty crazy turnaround. So it's definitely a tale of two seasons for our baseball team, but also the start to my college career, because I ended up dropping down, which I ended up throwing, sidearm or a low 3/4 until I retired a few years ago.
So and that's crazy. You made an adjustment. Like, that's not an adjustment you just make in the bullpen before you go out and throw. That's right. I mean, it sounds like, but that's kind of sounds like what you did, like almost on the fly. Like, hey, why don't you give this a shot? Have you ever thrown sidearm before that, or was it just literally like, well, let me give it a shot?
No, I mean, I was I was probably a 3/4 arm slot in
Okay.
high school, so I wasn't over the top. I wasn't like an extreme stretch. It was more a little more bend in my upper body, and trying to keep that arm, making sure the elbow didn't get super low before below my shoulder. But um, yeah, it wasn't really that bad of a transition for me. The positives outweigh the negatives. Um, I knew my curveball in high school wasn't, otherworldly. And obviously I told you that my changeup was pretty dumpy too, but I felt like I had a good fastball, but it was going to be flat. And if I'm going up against these guys who are sophomores and juniors at the collegiate level around in fall, when we get in season. So
Yeah.
it's one of those career defining moments that, I'm grateful for our pitching coach, Dave Serrano at the time, for kind of making that adjustment and just trying something out,
Yeah.
throwing some spaghetti against the wall and seeing if it sticks. And it happened too. And, happy that it did.
Yeah, well, it worked. It turned out okay, right? It turned out all right for you.
That's
It
very
turned
true.
out all right. So that takes you to when did you know, or let me ask you this: when did you, or did you ever say, I want to play in the major leagues, or was it just a process that you just continued to kind of grow into, and you said, I have a shot at playing in the major leagues, and then it was, well, I got drafted to play. You know what I mean? Was it? Or was it a goal from day one? Did you get up every morning? I want to play in the major leagues. Or, you know what I mean? Was there, or somewhere in between?
Yeah. Always on the back end was a dream of pitching, in the major leagues. And I think everybody that, plays, competitively in high school and college, they have that idea, that dream that, yeah, that would be great if I ended up there. But I had a bunch of smaller goals that I had kind of, that, if I hit those, that I'd be able to continue my journey a little bit. And everything was kind of just, one more rung in the ladder. I
Yeah.
wanted to be, pitch on our varsity team in high school as a freshman. And that was my goal going into there. And I knew if I could do that, then, I put myself in a good spot. And, after my sophomore year, I wanted to be, the guy. I wanted
Yeah.
to be the number one. And, I wanted to win, a high school state championship, and I wanted to be all league. And, that just kind of grew into, narrowing down where I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to go to Cal State Fullerton. So what did I need to do to get, be ready to play baseball at that school? And once I made it there, it's like, okay, well now it's, making the 25-man roster. Now it's, all Big West, all American. It's national championships, and you start getting a little deeper into that. And now it's, putting yourself in a good position to get drafted and all that sort of thing. So, it's all working towards that goal. But, when I was in high school, I didn't work to be a major league pitcher. I worked to be the best pitcher I could at the level I was at.
Yeah. Well, and let me ask you this. So you get drafted, and who did you get drafted by?
Indies.
The Indians. Okay. So you stayed with the same organization until you were traded. So let me ask you those two things. What was it like getting drafted by, so you're a California guy, knowing you're
Hmm.
coming to,
Yeah.
and look, everybody that listens to this knows that nobody loves Cleveland more than I do. I would fight anybody on the fact that I love me some Cleveland. So I'm certainly not knocking the city, but you get drafted, you get the call, you're going to the Cleveland Indians, from California. What was that like? And then, yeah, so what was that like? We'll start there.
Yeah. I mean, it was, as with everything else that I've discussed so far, it's pretty untraditional process. My junior year of college, I'm having a good year. I think I was working on a sub 1 ERA or very close to it. Pitched in the midweek game, heard a pop in my elbow about a month before the draft, and that was kind of it. That was the last pitch I threw in college. I tried playing catch. I tried playing through it. I tried getting to a spot where I could be competitive on the mound, mostly because our team was making another run at the College World Series, and I wanted to be a part of that. And through that process, once that happened, my conversations and my interviews with teams and stuff like that really, really slowed down. And I was reassured by some people and at the time that it wasn't going to hurt my draft stock. That it's it was unsure at that point what it was. I'd had a couple MRIs. One was they couldn't really see much because it was too soon after the injury, and the second one, the doctor didn't really see any major damage in there. So I was hopeful for that, but throwing the baseball, I kind of knew something else was going on in there, and found out right around the draft. After I got my third MRI, I ended up getting the contrast MRI where they shoot the dye in there, that I had a ligament tear and that Tommy John surgery was going to be needed if I wanted to keep playing. So, once that kind of happened, it was I didn't know what was going to happen when the draft came around. I didn't know. This was kind of planned out at that point. I mean, I'm up for the draft, and I felt things were going really well that year, and just kind of got turned upside down. So fast forward to the draft. First day comes. Back then, I think they did. It's not as NFL like anymore. I get it the first 16 or 18 rounds in the first day, and day one came and my name didn't get called. So there's some guys that got their continue their journey through their dreams and stuff like that, and I didn't know what was going on. So we went out to celebrate the successes of them and kind of went out to celebrate the failures of the guys whose names didn't get called. And I remember getting a phone call early in the morning the next day. I pick up the phone, and the phone call had woke me up, and I was kind of groggy at the time, and Jason Smith with the Cleveland Indians, were taken here in the 20th round.
So then you get drafted. How many years did you spend in the minors, or was it a pretty fast track before you made it to Cleveland?
About 4 years. So technically, I got drafted in 2006, but my first professional innings didn't come in 2007 because of recovery from Tommy John. Fast recovery is about 10 months between surgery and games. And so 2007 was my first taste in pro ball. The Mahoning Valley Scrappers, the short season A team up in Niles County. Or Niles, Ohio. Maybe I got the county wrong, but anyways. But yeah, and then 2010, end of September is when I got my first big league innings. So about 4 seasons.
Do you remember who the first person you struck out was?
I think Billy Butler.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so now, and you'll have to remind me, as much as I love my Cleveland Indians, who was the manager when you got there?
Manny Active.
Okay. All right. And did you guys ever make the playoffs when you were there?
Not with Manny. In 13, Tito's first year, wild card game, and then 14 the year got traded. I was with the Angels come playoff time, but not with Manny.
So not to fly through your Cleveland career, because that was decorated, and as an Indians fan, I appreciated your work there coming out of that bullpen. That bullpen was tough because it was you, Chris Perez was the closer, right? And then you actually, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you come in and close at some point too? Didn't you kind of at least take the closer role for a bit?
I filled in some certain spots. I think I had 6 legit save opportunities. a setup guy, but I think I had 6 actual saves being a ninth inning guy.
Okay. So what is it like when you get the call, or how does it go when did they just come to you and say, we got some bad news, or what is that like? Your agent call you? How does that happen when you get traded in the major leagues?
Traded or called up? Sorry, I
Traded.
didn't think.
Traded. Let's go traded. What's that like?
It was pretty quick. You know, we were in Slovenia playing, and you know, I was up and down in 13 and up and down in 14, and I made the team. I got sent down in like the first 10 days because I just wasn't. So I decided to rework my mechanics, and about a month and a half later, I ended up getting called up through maybe 12 or 11 appearances. Not all one inning appearances, but had ended up getting like one run, I think, to like Brett Gardner, like one of my last appearances. And they called me into the office and said I was going back down. And I was like, you know, my strikeout to walk ratio was really good. My inherited runner scored was really good. It just didn't really make sense to me. You know, at the time why I was going down. Obviously, roster moves have to happen, but I didn't know I was a particular guy that had to, you know, wear that in that instance. You know, and kind of face and talked to my man afterwards and was like, I think my time here is done. Like, I don't know what more I can do to stay up here. And I think maybe a couple weeks later was when I was going to get traded to the Angels. So, you know, it wasn't that big of a surprise. I'd say I was kind of hoping for a trade at that point because I was, you know, hoping to get some new blood with a new team. I definitely didn't want to finish out the year and trip feeling like at the big league level because I know what you need to compete at the big league level, and if I felt like I had that, then I didn't want to waste my time in AAA. So I ended up getting traded on the road in Scranton and flew to Salt Lake City from there and left my truck and all my clothes and all my belongings in Columbus, and had the clubhouse manager here kind of pack everything up and got my truck shipped out later.
Wow. And then, but it had to be exciting to go back home, right, to California. Were you excited to, I mean, because so many times the few guys, you know, that I have talked to, and know that everything's about opportunity. You know, it's, you could be on the perfect team and then you get traded and all of a sudden you're, you know, 4 or 5 back in the pecking order when, you know, you could be on a team that's trying to rebuild, which you could possibly see major league time right away. Was it exciting to go back? Because I got to think the Angels were probably very competitive and maybe in a playoff run at that time, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, they ended up winning. Well, I would like to say we, because I was on the team when they did it, but not for the long haul. But we ended up winning the AL West that year, so that was fun. And yeah, I mean, I got traded over there end of August, and we came up and made that September run with them. And yeah, that was great. I mean, I wasn't necessarily an Angel fan growing up. I was more of a fan of the game of baseball, but I remember going to playoff games and watching guys like Tim Salmon and Jim Edmonds and Mo Vaughn and Darren Erstad and I mean, all those guys. No, it was fun to definitely be in that stadium playing where I had seen some games growing up.
Yeah. So what is it like? Have you, so here's a weird question. There's got to be some kind of juice and adrenaline that pumps through your veins when you get the call down to the pen. You just got warmed up. It's bases loaded, and they call on you to come out here. There's 2 outs, bases loaded. You're out there to get 1 guy or 2, whatever it might be. What's that like when that door opens in that bullpen? Let's just call it Progressive Field, even though it's still Jacobs Field. Door opens, crowd's just going nuts.
Always like, you know, they're always doing like ads and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, this guy's in the game. And then they pay like 10 seconds of your song. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, closers get all the credit. Everybody knows that. Get the easiest job in the world.
No pressure.
Yeah. The eighth inning guy has to come in and face, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. In the eighth inning, the closer comes in and gets 7, 8, 9. And he's the hero.
It's truth. It's truth.
But no, there's it's a huge adrenaline rush, one that I haven't been able to match
right.
outside of baseball, mostly because I'm scared of most things that would give me adrenaline, like roller coasters and heights. So, no, it was great. And then, if you've ever seen me come into a game, I was pretty full bore once that gate opened. I sprinted in from the outfield. So I was excited and fired up to get in there, especially in the situation you just described. Like I wanted to be that guy that, the team relied on. I wanted the ball in my hand when the game was either going to swing one way or the next. And, regardless if it's, your ace out there, Justin Masterson, who's just blowing guys away all game. And, I wanted to be the person to go in there, take that ball and be like, hey, I got you. Like,
yeah,
this is in good hands. And,
yeah.
And, those are the situations that I live for, when there's nobody on and you're down by 10 or you're up by 10, those aren't the big energy moments, and you have to kind of create energy and trick yourself into believing that the moment's kind of bigger than it is, because those are games where you can like slip up and give up 2 or 3 and then put yourself in, behind the 8 ball statistically for a while. So, no, I mean, if you give up 3 runs in an outing, which happens, I mean, it's not that difficult. I mean, you're looking at 9 scoreless just to get your ERA, back down to a 3. So, I mean, you get those crooked numbers in the bullpen, especially when you only get 1 or 2 outs and you have a home run, for a couple. It's hard to kind of chip away at that.
And then the crowd doesn't let you forget it.
Yeah, depending where you're at.
The sports. So did you listen to sports talk radio at all?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was never a big radio guy. I always had my playlists. If I didn't know you and I didn't, respect you, then your opinion really didn't matter to me. I mean, you could say anything. I mean, even to this day, if somebody were to come up to me and be like, "Hey, man, like, what the hell happened?" Because
yeah,
I don't know, man. I wouldn't really take offense, but I did the best I could and tried to do the most I could with the time I had.
Yeah, well, you did a great job, and I was a fan. I'm still a fan, always a fan, and I love those teams too, because those teams weren't uber talented, but they always maximized what they had, which is the Cleveland story for the most part. I mean, a couple of years we had, obviously the '90s was a little different run, but ever since then they've really just scrapped and clawed, and they found guys that just gave everything they had, and so I always cheer for the Indians for that reason. But one of these days they'll make it back to the show again, I guess. So, all right. So let's transition. Life in baseball starts to come to an end. What I know what you're doing now, and at what point did you say, you know what, it's time? Like, when did you just know it's time to move on to the next phase?
I battled some shoulder injuries. I was in 2016 with the Yankees when I hurt my shoulder. I had a tear in my labrum and a hole in my rotator cuff. Did some cortisone shots to try and help get that under control, and I felt like I was getting back to a good spot. Kind of told my pitching coach at the time that I was ready to go right before the All-Star break in 2016. He's like, all right, I'll let everybody know. Came into the field the next day, got activated and released. That was super surprising at the time. And, from then on, it was just a battle with my shoulder, trying to prove that I was healthy. And, look for spring training in 2017. So I ended up playing independent baseball up in the Northeast in the Atlantic League. And then played there a little bit in 2018. And my shoulder would go through these points where it would feel really good. And I'd feel like, this is going really well. And it would just get fatigued and just kind of get tired and fail on me. And my velocity would dip down. And
you decide it's time, and now I guess we can move to what are you doing now?
Yeah. So I'm in real estate now. Excited to be in that. Been in that since April. Well, yeah, April of last year. It's been a good transition, just like anything else. A new career. It's fun, and it's exciting. It's a lot to learn. Not only the real estate side of things, but different systems and programs and stuff like that. It was kind of like drinking water out of a fire hose for the first couple of months.
Yeah.
But now that I'm in it, I'm more established. It's an interesting time to be a real estate agent in Columbus, Ohio. We've got an extremely tough market,
Yeah.
very competitive, and um, you know, my previous career, affords me um, to be a little slower, not have any ego, when I'm talking to, other people in the industry or negotiating. Like, this isn't about me. Like, this is about, my client and what's best for them and their family. And, I'm not, tied to a contract going through and stuff like that. And I'm not, necessarily trying to push stuff through when possibly it shouldn't. So, um, and that's the way I think it should be. Like, you should have nothing but positive memories of it. I mean, yeah, I've lost contracts with clients, and that stinks, because I mean, every home that somebody bids on, it means that they see them and their family in it.
Yeah.
And you're not always the winner, but you can't control how other people are going to spend their money. I've had clients go $21,000 over list price this year, and that's with giving up, any type of asking for any type of remedies after the inspection period, and things like that. So there's some people out there that are doing crazy things with their with their money, and
Yeah.
if that's what they feel is in their best interest for their family, then that's great. But I always caution my clients about pushing the bar too high, just because it just you don't know who else is out there that's gonna not care about going a little bit more and a little bit beyond.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's plenty of other options on the market right now, based on what you said. There's plenty of other houses, so you don't have to buy the first one you find.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we help people with new builds too. Just because you're going to a builder doesn't mean you shouldn't have any type of representation. We can be a sounding board for you. A realtor's best job, is shown when something is off, when something goes wrong. A good, easy transaction, we have much to do with outside of negotiating that original list price and terms. And then if something comes up with financing or appraisals and all that other stuff, we can kind of step in and help steady those waters a little bit. But we're there for when things go bad and you need somebody to go to bat for you and battle for you. That's where most of our value comes from. So having us involved even with a new build is important, because we can be that sounding board for you with the builder.
Yeah. Well, it's been an exciting journey to get to where you are today, and we've had a lot of technical issues at least on my side. I've seen a lot, so I want to make sure that everybody understands that you are available. You're in Dublin. Are you in Dublin still? Is that right?
Yeah, still in Dublin.
Okay. So you're in Dublin. That is what you are up to nowadays. It's an exciting new venture for you as you transition now into that next phase. Also, lovely wife. Child, right? Any other news you need to break, or is that?
No.
No?
We're we just got our condo in contract, actually, so we'll be moving out soon, and just like everybody else, we're in this market too. So that's really the only new news. Life is good. Weather's getting a little bit chillier. I had to bust out the palm tree shirt today to get some good warm vibes going. So no, I'm in a great spot, feeling good, and family's good too.
Well, it's great. And I want everybody to know the kind of guy that you are. I texted you not knowing that you were on vacation. I should probably go on social media a little more from that aspect and see that you were on vacation. And right away you said, man, I'm in. And you said, I'll do it. And then been really busy, and you actually reached back out now that you're back from your vacation and said, when are we doing this? So that's the kind of guy that Vinnie is. Again, good friend to us and his especially like I said, when my son's in high school and just helping him on that mental space as a pitching, having somebody that's been down that road, that meant a lot to him and therefore obviously meant a lot to us. So we'll put everything in the blog post and the YouTube and all the other places I post this. We'll put all your links for your real estate in case anybody wants to get in contact with you and getting that market. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on today. It's always fun, and we'll be in touch again soon. Hopefully, maybe we'll do another one where we have a little better connection next time. But it's been great having you on, man. I appreciate it. Go Raiders.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Go Tribe, go Raiders. You got it.
That's right. Thanks, Vinny. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care.
All righty, bye-bye.